Hello coders, welcome to teCHemistry. In this session, we are going to create a table employee and we are going to add records to this particular table. In the previous session, we created an admin called admin1 and we need to create a super user before we create any tables. Okay, so let's go to models.py. As we discussed in the previous session, in Django framework, it is models.py which stores our table definitions. So click on models.py and create a table. Now any table that you would like to create should be in the form of a class in Django. So since I'm decided to create a table called employee, so let me just create a class called employee here, and this class needs to inherit from models.model, and then once it inherits, I'll be able to get all the default field types in Django. So let me just create a name for the employee, and the name is a char field, and the maximum length I'm taking it as 20. I would also like to take the age of the employee, and it's an integer field. And also I would like to have salary for this employee, and I would like to take it as float field because I would like to have a decimal field for that. And once this is done, please note that char field requires at least one parameter called max length. Okay, so I've created a table employee which inherits from models.model, and I have three fields: name, age, and salary. And name is a character field, age is an integer field, and salary is a float field. So once this is done, we need to save our models.py and we need to make migrations for this. Now every time you make any change in models.py, you have to perform make migrations. So let's do make migrations right now. So make migrations is the command which will actually create your table. Okay, and this table will have its particular fields into which we can store records in SQLite 3. So we need to write make migrations command here, and once you click on this make migration, let me just scroll this window a little more up. You will see that it is creating the table employee over here. And if you click on migrations folder, you can see this file called 001 underscore initial.py. So this is the file which is saving the changes that you have applied to your models.py file. So what it is doing for the first, this is your first migration. That's why you can see this 001 underscore initial.py. Let's say you have done another change and perform make migration again. Then you will get another file called 0002 underscore initial.py. So it's keeping a track of the changes that have been made to models.py. And if you scroll down, you can see that it has created a table employee, but if you look closely, it is creating an automatic primary key. So this is something we need to know in Django, that if you do not have a primary key, then Django will automatically create the primary key for you. By default, this field name is known as ID or PK for primary key. So this is the ID that we have created for employee, and this is the name. So here the ID is an integer type, default is an integer type. Auto field will automatically increment it. Okay, and age is integer field, salary is float field. Now if once we have performed make migrations, we need to migrate again because we have made a small change, a structural change actually. So we need to migrate. So I am calling the migrate method which were called before creating a super user. So why we migrate is this initial.py file needs to be applied. Okay, so this will apply the migrations to my admin, to my app for authentication sessions, etc. So I am going to apply this, and for that migrate is very important. So please remember, once you create a model, apply make migrations and migrate. Now once this is done, you can run your server, and the place where you will see your table is in the admin side. So I'm going back to my admin site. So I have come to my Django admin site, but I cannot see my table. Now the reason I cannot see my table is because I have not registered it in my admin side. So we need to register that. So let's see how we are going to register that in the admin side. The reason that we could not see the table in the admin side was we had not registered it. Now to register a table, we need to go to our app 1. Okay, we need to go to app 1, and in app 1, we need to go to admin.py. So admin.py is the place where you're registering your table. So we need to import our table. And as you can see, our table is in the file models.py, right? So basically we are telling from all. So this is all. From all the files, import models.py. And then in that, I would like to specifically import a table called employee. Okay, so this is going to get me access to my table employee from models.py. Once that is done, I will register this to admin.site register, and then I'll register my employee table. Okay, once this is done, I'm going to save my file, and this is a very small change, so I need not rerun the codes. It's automatically reloading on my screen, so every time I need not refresh my server or restart my server. Sometimes it will also reload by itself. Now it's reloading by itself. Now I can either click on this link or just refresh the page. So if you can see the screen, I'm going to reload my admin site, and you can see that employees table is appearing automatically. Now even though we have named our table as employee, it's appearing as employees over here. That is because Django always adds an S to this name in the admin site. It's always in plural. Now I'll click on this employee, and you can see that there is no record in this particular table. So let's just add some records. So add employee, and let's give some name. Let's call it as Geeta, and let's give age as 23. Let's give some salary. Okay, now if you want to add another, there is the option of save and add another. So click on this, and let's add another employee. Let's add the last employee. And finally, if we have finished doing all the additions, you can just click on the save button. Now when you click on save, you can see this is employee object 3, employee object 2, employee object 1. And this is how Django shows the records. If you click on employee object 1, you can see that this is the first record that I've added. So if you want to edit, you can give save and continue editing, or you can delete this. Okay, so now let's go back to this particular employee, but this doesn't look good. We do not know which particular employee this is. So if you want to change this to Geeta, and you would like the employee names to come over here rather than employee object, by default everything is object in Django. So if you do not want to see it as object 1 2 3, instead if you want to give it as Geeta, and the second one I think was Amit, and then it was Ajit. So if you want to give the names that way, you need to do the changes in models.py. So let's do that change now. So I would like to show the names now instead of those employee objects. So the change has to be done in models.py. So I'm coming back to my models.py, and in my class I'm overriding my string method. Okay, so def def under double underscore str double underscore, this is an inbuilt method, and I am going to call the particular object. So I'm going to call self, and I'm returning only the name of this particular person. So I'm going to format this string, and I'm going to give self dot name. Okay, once this is done, I'm saving my file, And since you're doing just a small formatting change, you need not do make migrations. Do make migrations if you're altering the table structure. Okay, maybe you're deleting the salary field, or maybe you're adding an email field. If that is the case, you need to do make migrations. Right now, I've just overridden this string function, so I need not do make migrations. Let me go back to my admin site. So when I go to my admin site, if I refresh my page, you can see I'm getting it as Geeta, Amit, Ajit, etc. Now these are stored according to their ID. So automatic ID for Geeta is 1, for Amit is 2, and for Ajit is 3. Now if you want to order it according to their ID, again you would have to make changes in models.py. So let's just order them according to their ID. Now to order the records according to their primary key or maybe a particular field, we need to create an inner class called meta. So these are keywords, cannot change them. So this has to be def str and this has to be class meta. Okay, you cannot change their names. These are also built-in character field, inter field, float field. They are being these are functions which are we are getting it from the models library. Okay, so class meta, we need to order it. So this is also a keyword ordering, and I'm ordering it according to my ID. Okay, so I'm ordering it according to ID. So I need to pass it in the form of a list. Once this is done, save the file and refresh the admin site. So let's just refresh the admin site, and you can see that it is ordering Geeta, Amit, Ajit according to the ID. Now let's say you want to see the ID also, not just Geeta, Amit and Ajit. Then we need to add ID in our string function. So as we discussed, we would like to see the ID of the three objects. So rather than just seeing one name, I would like to also see maybe their ID. So format, and here self.id is the default. We saw that in uh, 001 underscore initial dot py. So we need to write self.id. Let's save it. It's reloading again. We need to refresh our admin site. So we are going to refresh our admin site, and you can see now the admin site is automatically giving the ID 1 for Geeta, 2 for Amit and 3 for Ajit. So this is how we create a table, add records and display the employee details depending on the name or ID or salary. We can control that. All we need to do is change the names or the fields in our string function.